Welcome to Hotels and Travel Day. I'm Brian Donahue, Vice President of Account Management here at Phenom. Look, when it comes to hiring for hospitality and travel, we get it. You're always looking for talent. Every day, you need housekeepers, front desk agents, and servers who can deliver that guest experience. Our goal is the same as yours, to help the right people find the right work. But here's the thing with hospitality and travel. When you're hiring, you're not just filling a role. You're finding someone who's going to make or break a guest's entire experience. So when we help you find the right people for your hotel, resort, airline, or cruise line, we're talking about hiring individuals who understand that this isn't just a job. It's about creating moments that people will remember for a lifetime. So let's talk about what's happening in the hospitality and travel industry right now. The industry is experiencing a remarkable surge in demand. Guests are returning, flights are full, and cruise bookings are on the rise. While the world is moving again, the workforce that powers it remains unstable. Technology is transforming every aspect of operations, from mobile check-ins to AI-powered revenue management and contactless service. Smart room technologies are becoming standard. Digital customer service is expected across every guest touchpoint. But here's what's wild. As technology handles more of the routine stuff, the human element has become even more critical. Your hospitality professionals today, they need to be brand ambassadors, tech savvy, and experience creators all rolled into one. That's a lot, right? And customers, they expect everything now. White glove service, instant responses, seamless experiences from check-in to check-out. Meanwhile, you're hiring from talent pools that span multiple generations, languages, and cultural backgrounds. These workers expect flexibility, clear advancement paths, and employers who actually value what they bring to the table. The ability to quickly pick up gig work has completely transformed how people perceive work these days. Your potential candidates can literally start earning with ride sharing or food delivery apps today. They can pick up shifts on their own schedule. However, through all of this change, one thing remains constant. Hospitality is still a people business, where exceptional service depends on finding professionals who genuinely care about creating memorable experiences. These industry shifts are creating fertile ground for talent challenges. First, there's the sheer magnitude of the hiring need. Despite strong demand, labor shortages remain the top barrier to growth. You're dealing with turnover that can exceed 60 to 70% in housekeeping and food service roles. For airlines and cruise lines, you're rebuilding entire workforces while managing crew shortages, maintenance backlogs, and port staffing gaps. But it's not just about volume statistics. The real impact is on daily operations and guest experience. Hotel managers are working overnights to cover shifts. Your best employees are exhausted from constantly training new hires who don't last. Service quality suffers when you can't maintain consistent staffing levels. In travel, understaffing leads to flight cancellations, service disruptions, and disappointed passengers. Every unfilled position doesn't just cost money, it directly impacts guest satisfaction and your brand's reputation. Then there's speed. When qualified candidates apply, they're likely applying to multiple opportunities simultaneously across multiple industries. If you don't engage them in a day, they're gone. But here's the kicker. In an industry built on exceptional service, you can't sacrifice quality for speed. Every hire represents your brand to guests who expect excellence. The complexity of hiring across multiple locations and geographies adds another layer of challenge. Hotels operate with a mix of corporate-owned and franchise properties, each with different systems and processes. Property-level managers often lead hiring without formal recruiter support. Airlines and cruise lines coordinate hiring across multiple time zones, languages, and regulatory requirements. Travel companies must navigate union agreements, safety certifications, and even international labor laws. And this is where technology pays off. Modern AI-powered tools are specifically designed to address the unique challenges of talent acquisition in the hospitality and travel industries. These solutions help organizations attract the right candidates, engage them instantly, and move them through the hiring process at the speed they expect, all while maintaining the service standards that define your brand. The key is that hospitality hiring isn't just about filling positions quickly, it's about finding and assessing professionals who have the right skills, the right attitude, and genuine passion for service. Today's AI technology can be trained specifically on hospitality roles. Understanding the difference between a luxury hotel concierge and a budget property front desk agent, between a cruise staff member and an airline gate agent. For frontline roles, these housekeepers, food service workers, and guest service agents, who are the face of your brand, automation can handle the repetitive tasks that overwhelm recruiters. Screening, scheduling, and eligibility verification can all be managed automatically while teams focus on assessing service orientation and cultural fit. But talent journeys don't stop at hiring. Modern talent technology is using data to help organizations retain the people they've worked so hard to get through the door. Internal mobility tools help employees see career paths across properties or routes. Alumni networks bring back your best seasonal workers year after year. Engagement analytics help identify retention risks before they become resignations. Look, I get it. Some of you are probably thinking, Brian, we're in hospitality and travel. This is all about human connection. How does AI fit into that? Well, here's the thing. We're not trying to replace your people with robots. We're trying to give your people better tools so they can focus on what they do best. But every decision point includes human oversight. We automate the repetitive tasks, scanning applications, scheduling interviews, verifying eligibility, so your team can focus on what humans do best: assessing personality, evaluating service potential, and ensuring cultural fit. The Phenom Intelligent Talent Experience Platform is built with bias detection, explainable decisions, and full audit trails. This allows you to maintain compliance with emerging regulations while leveraging technology to solve your talent challenges. Between all the challenges you're facing, the labor shortages, the competition for talent, the operational complexity, guests are still checking in every single day. Flights are still taking off. Ships are still sailing. They all expect exceptional service. Over our time together today, you'll see exactly how leading hospitality organizations are transforming their talent strategies. You'll hear from hospitality leaders who have been in your shoes, facing the same staffing shortages, seasonal surges, and operational pressures. You'll discover how to automate high-volume hiring while preserving the human touch, build talent pools that bring your best people back season after season, and create hiring processes that work across corporate properties, franchises, and global operations. Most importantly, you'll leave with clear next steps for your own transformation. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about technology. It's about ensuring every guest interaction is handled by passionate professionals who create the experiences travelers remember. It's about giving your teams the support they need. It's about building a sustainable workforce for the future of hospitality. All right, let's get started and jump into the day.
Hello, I'm Frances Sims, and I'm a leader in Deloitte's human capital practice, where I've been serving our clients for more than 10 years as they tackle critical business and workforce problems. My focus areas include the hospitality and travel industry, as well as AI-driven talent strategy and skills-based organizations. I'm thrilled to be joining you to share some of the highlights from Deloitte's 2025 Human Capital Trends Report and how they apply to you. When we're surrounded by uncertainty, it can be tempting to slow roll our decision making and take a wait and see approach. But what happens when the world is moving and changing so fast that the decision not to make a decision actually puts us at a disadvantage? These are the fundamental tensions that organizational leaders everywhere are currently facing. Our 2025 Global Human Capital Trends research suggests that leaders are finding themselves stuck in a wait-and-see cycle, unsure how to navigate these tensions and make the complex choices necessary to balance the business and human outcomes that will move their organizations forward. The 2025 trends build on last year's trends, where we found that organizations that are most successful are driving human performance, which we defined as the mutually reinforcing cycle of business and human outcomes. Our research showed that organizations who prioritized human outcomes, such as employability, well-being, and purpose, were indeed finding better outcomes. We continue to explore the importance of human performance in this year's trends. The boundaryless world of work has not only continued, but has accelerated, with AI's impact on work and the workforce expanding rapidly. This has exacerbated the tensions leaders like you face. What we found this year is that the continued changes to work and the workforce are causing an almost overwhelming degree of uncertainty and complexity for organizations, and that is impacting decision-making. The insights from this year's report were informed by a rich set of global research, gathering input from more than 13,000 leaders, managers, and workers, including 2,000 plus executives across more than 90 countries and all industries and sectors. I'm excited to share an overview with you today, as well as 3 specific trends that our team has identified as being particularly important for the hospitality industry. This year's research really found that there are some major tensions that organizations are seeking to balance as you design your human capital programs. What are those tensions that leaders are trying to navigate? Well, the first one is automation versus augmentation. AI came on the scene a few years ago, but now it's really rapidly finding its way into organizations, and leaders everywhere are thinking about how they should advance in artificial intelligence, whether to automate work or reinvent it. The second tension is around personalization versus standardization. How do we balance the need to be personalized, relevant, and customized to the individual or the local context with the need for standardization, which enables greater control, efficiency, and ease of management? As we try to do more with less in our organizations, we tend to want to standardize our approaches. But where should we personalize or enable a closer understanding of what our employees and individuals want? The third tension is around stability versus agility. Most organizations I know are constantly changing, rolling out new technologies, policies, processes, going into new markets. As your organization transforms in response to an often chaotic world, should you consider creating sources of stability and belonging for workers, or focus on creating agility for the organization? Outputs versus outcome. Are we focusing too much on outputs, time worked, products created, meetings attended, in terms of how we're guiding our employees, in terms of what we expect from them? Can we focus more on outcomes, and how will we measure them? Things like improved customer satisfaction, innovation, or quality. The fifth tension is around control versus empowerment. Should workers be given greater empowerment about where and how they work? Or does navigating today's complexities require greater control from the center? And finally, a question as we think about our workers is predictability versus potential. How do we spot potential, look for our leaders of the future, in an environment in which we're looking for predictable outcomes and measuring them on their performance of the past. Navigating these tensions isn't about picking a side. It's about finding the right balance between both sides. You may skew towards one end of the spectrum overall, and you may evolve your position over time. Ultimately, the decisions you make as leaders will apply in 3 key areas: work, how things get done; workforce, who's doing the work and how we support them; and organization and culture, the structure and practices that unlock performance. Work is really about taking this opportunity with automation and AI coming in to really think about, what work do my workers need to do, and how do I design the work better? Workforce is as important as it's ever been in terms of accessing talent, motivating them, retaining them, and really building their skill sets so they can be most effective in driving your results. And organization and work and culture is about creating an appealing, performance-driven organization where you can create the culture you need to deliver on business goals and attract those workers. So here are our 8 trends for this year. Under that work piece, our first trend is stagility. Yes, that's a mouthful. But the question is, how do we balance stability and agility in a very uncertain world with all of the change that is going on? We need workers to adopt new tools, new processes, and new policies, but to get the most out of those new things, we need to find ways to create predictability and consistency so they can drive efficiency and effectiveness. How do we do that without overwhelming our workers? The second trend under work is when work gets in the way of work. How do I unlock worker capacity, and how should it be used? Workers are busy. I'm sure all of you, like me, have said how busy we are on a regular basis. For our workers in hospitality and travel, the introduction of technology has not necessarily taken work off their plate, but instead increased the channels they need to manage and respond to. So how do we rethink work so that our workers are focused on the right things that drive value and give them space and time to think and problem solve? And then the workforce. So what are the key trends around the workforce? First of all, you've heard me already talking about AI. How do we think about the human value proposition for the age of AI? More and more workers see AI as a coworker, but we really need to think about what we expect them to do alongside that coworker. How does the worker receive a positive benefit from co-working alongside AI versus feeling like it's just taking away meaningful aspects of their role or automating the wrong things? Second trend around workforce is closing the experience gap. Why are my new hires not ready to contribute? The experience gap presents a thorny and ever-present riddle. Workers can't get jobs without having the required experience, but they can't acquire the necessary experience without footholds into jobs and equivalent opportunities. So how can we better and more clearly define the skills, knowledge, and abilities that we're looking for so we can expand the potential talent pool and also think differently about on-the-job training and accelerating readiness post-hire? Finally, around the workforce, we have a trend around new tech, new work. How do I get more value out of work and workforce technology? Leaders need a new calculus to identify the right tech, the right timing, and the right stakeholders to create the value case that will realize human and business outcomes. Our final category around organization and culture has 3 key trends. One is motivation at the unit of one. How can we motivate people to do what needs to be done to unleash human potential and performance? As the hospitality industry competes for talent and continues to focus on retaining workers, How can we use individual insights to better understand what benefits and incentives are going to drive the performance and motivation we're looking for? The second one is reinventing performance management. Why doesn't performance management work? We might be asking too much of it. Maybe that's the answer. Performance management is meant to be backward-looking, and it's important for organizations to figure out a simple and clear way to assess past performance while also making sure you're talking about future potential. And then finally, the quandrum of the role of the manager. As more technology and more programs are rolled out, we expect more and more from our managers. They're meant to be there as coaches, provide on-the-job training, compliance officers. Is this a job that we need to rethink? So that's the big question here, especially as managers are increasingly orchestrators of work, workforce, and organization and culture elements. So, which three trends are we diving into? The first one that we identified as particularly salient for the hospitality industry is when work gets in the way of work. Nearly half of Americans feel they have too much work to do and not enough time. 68% of respondents in another survey say they lack uninterrupted time for important tasks during the workday. Technological advancements promised to make work more efficient, yet we're busier than ever. New tools often add complexity, leading to more notifications, dashboards, and digital busy work. In fact, workforce is a valuable resource. Worker capacity is a valuable resource, yet many organizations struggle to find and maintain it. The focus on visible effort as a measure of productivity pressures workers to always be on. In fact, they say 41% of daily work doesn't contribute to organizational value, but nevertheless, only 22% of organizations say that they are extremely or very effective at finding and implementing ways to simplify work. So, what gives? Leaders and workers must collaborate to reclaim organizational capacity. This involves a new mindset around valuing slack, creating unscheduled, unassigned time for workers to use autonomously. It also means really thinking about simplifying work, really identifying what tasks can be automated or simplified or just aren't value added, and making sure to get rid of them and figure out, can technology do it, for instance? How can it be augmented or even outsourced in some way? So we have some ideas around how hospitality organizations can address this. The first is to use workforce data to identify value-added and value-robbing activities at a task level. Help your workers identify and understand how they truly drive differentiated value in their roles, and give them the autonomy needed to make decisions about how their time is used best. Make AI your ally in identifying and addressing inefficiencies, and co-create metrics that focus on outcomes defined in the work reset. Many of us are familiar in hospitality with the way that large hotel chains are introducing AI-powered concierges that assist guests with information about local attractions and hotel amenities, while freeing them up to focus on more complex guest needs. This is just one example of how to use technology and really rethink roles to allow for more slack that can really be value added. The next trend that we identified as important for hospitality is closing the experience gap. Certainly, the hospitality industry is one that is constantly hiring and working to retain its workers. As technology and other forces change work, organizations are upping experience requirements. Yet at the same time, both new workers and career changers struggle to find foothold jobs where they can acquire experience. In this new world, the gulf is hardest for organizations to close is the experience gap, not the skills gap. In fact, 66% of leaders say their recent hires weren't fully prepared most citing a lack of experience. And 61% of employers have recently increased experience requirements. Most entry-level roles now require 2 to 5 years of experience. Why is this? Why have we created the bar to be higher than it was before? Part of it is that work itself has become more complex. We're moving from something that's more predictable, as the predictable elements of work are automated, and to something that's more context specific, requiring more specialization, judgment, and the ability to manage complexity. Economic and market pressures are also forcing organizations to be more lean and agile, reducing the need for workers in entry-level roles. All of this means that we really need to rethink how to create pipelines for future talent. One thing to think about is, what is it that we even mean by experience? The traditional view of experience has been about a number of years of directly related work in a particular industry or role. But if we take an expanded view of experience, it can include the application of human capabilities and technical and functional skills in real-world contexts. And we can really start to look at, wow, did I say I needed 3 years of experience because I needed certain skills, knowledge, and capabilities? If so, I can make a more tactical plan on how to help workers build those. So, what are some solutions for hospitality companies that are thinking about the need to close the experience gap? The first one is really about designing programs that upskill in the context of work, creating small opportunities to assess new hires' abilities and build their knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's about leveraging scenario-based and AR, VR, and adaptive learning techniques to allow for rapid practice and real-time feedback. It's also about designing the training process with clear gateways to a long-term career path. The examples that you see below are largely about apprenticeship models that hospitality and travel companies have put in place. It's about providing more accelerated opportunities to learn on the job by being thoughtful about the right combination of online classes and on-the-job training, and also giving people opportunities to shadow and really get the feedback that they need to accelerate their learning. I know of an organization that has really shifted from advancing their workers based on experience to advancing their workers based on skills. And they've created checkpoints to allow those who can show that they're gaining skills to grow more quickly in their pay and in their careers. The final part, the final trend that I want to spotlight for you all is around motivation at the unit of one. So, what moves your people? It's important to really start to think about your employees just as closely as you're thinking about your consumers. Certainly, all of us in hospitality recognize that over the past decade or so, we've learned more and more about our potential consumers, what motivates them, and have been able to personalize marketing campaigns for them. Why shouldn't we bring that same focus to our workforce, who create so much value for the organization? In fact, 78% of workers know what motivates them, but 33% of workers, according to our trends report, believe that leadership understands their motivations. Why do you think they feel this way? It might be because of a focus on standardization versus personalization when it comes to things like benefits and incentives. It might also be about top-down control versus bottoms-up empowerment. Let's take a look at what we think about when we think about motivation. It isn't just some of those extrinsic pieces that many of us are used to around compensation, job security, recognition. There's also really powerful sources of intrinsic motivation that organizations should be thinking about, particularly in hospitality, where your workers are building meaningful connections, helping others, and really have opportunities to think about new innovations and ways to help the customer. Finally, it is important to really think about the emotions that your workers are getting on the job? Do they feel fear, joy, hope, stress, embarrassment? Are they getting to have excitement, new experiences? Important to think about what the impact of the way you've designed the job and your policies and processes and benefits and incentives are all working together to either increase or decrease motivation. So, what are some ideas about how to increase motivation at the unit of one? First of all, it's important to understand worker motivations through collecting and analyzing data, co-creating use cases on what circumstances have the greatest impact on inspiring workers, and realizing both business and human outcomes, and then hyper-personalizing those workforce experiences. The example on the left here is about a large hotel company that introduced a program focused on associate well-being by offering tools and resources to support physical, mental, and physical health. It includes leadership, oversight, and visibility, and destigmatizes mental health discussions, building a culture of trust. Ultimately, also providing some choices and options for the workforce to take advantage of. So, I hope you enjoyed that walk through Deloitte's 2025 Human Capital Trends Report. Certainly, there's a lot of uncertainty in our environment, but there is a real opportunity here to create meaning around work, workforce, and organization and culture, and really rethink how you get things done, who's doing the work, and how you create the structures and practices that can unlock performance. I hope you'll check out more about the trends online. We also offer some short videos on our Insights to Action platform. And thank you again for the time.
Hello, welcome to Industry Week. Today's industry is hospitality. So we appreciate you jumping on to listen to this story. I currently have Rachel from Sonesta on with us. Rachel, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Austin?
I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate it. We're very happy to have you on, so we really do appreciate it as well. I've been working with you all now for the better part of a year and a half, probably.
Right.
So, I know that we've seen a lot change and, the processes. So, really excited for you to kind of tell the story and, share that with, not only just the other, folks in hospitality, but kind of across the way. So, again, really appreciate it.
With pleasure.
And Rachel, we obviously hear the accent, but where are you located?
I'm located in Boston, Massachusetts, but originally from the UK. Yes, my accent is not going anywhere, unfortunately.
I don't think there's anything unfortunate about it. So wanted to, just kind of start this off with some pretty simple questions, just to kind of learn a little bit more about, you, Sonesta, right, your goals. So if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing your current role with Sonesta, and a bit about the ethos around making things simple and easy. Obviously, Sonesta being a large hotel chain, so both for guests and your employees.
Absolutely. Yes, my role is the global head of talent acquisition for Sonesta Hotels. And if you've never heard of us, I think we're the eighth largest hotel company in the US. So we're quite well dispersed. We have 1,100 properties, the majority of which are franchised, but we do have a couple of hundred in our owned and managed portfolio, which is kind of what my role centers around. And I'll just put it simply, it might sound like a fancy title, and in some elements it might be, but really my job is to make hiring easy and simple. We have a people-centric but very decentralized model here at Sonesta, so my job is to really make it easy for the hotels to hire great people, in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Definitely, I think that's the goal for pretty much everybody, right? Is how can we make hiring as simple as possible, not just on the candidate side, but on your recruiter side as well. So I guess help our audience understand a little bit, right? Like what makes hospitality recruitment unique, especially when you're managing, right, TA across, the hundreds of properties without sort of dedicated recruiters at each location.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think anyone in my industry will probably chime in and agree with me. But we're very decentralized, but as I mentioned, very people centric. And I think that brings with it a whole breadth of problems, but also, also some really great local, hyper local frontline hiring focuses. We have that great position where we're focused on our local regions and geographical areas, but really tapping into what makes us unique in each of those areas and not just this broader brushstroke of an organization on top. So I think the decentralized model, I think, high volume, high turnover is always a challenge in the hospitality industry. But again, I think sometimes that's what makes it fun. And I think representing many different brands, you'll find in hospitality that a lot of the larger organizations have a portfolio of different brands with different identities, different tones of voice, and different employer value propositions and different things to offer. So I think it's representing those at scale as well, weaved in also.
No, that's awesome. I never really thought about it, right, from the different like brands that kind of sit underneath, right, the larger umbrella,
Yeah.
sort of the different experiences, right? You're looking to, you know, obviously give the guests at those different locations, right? But then your employees that you're hiring have to also sort of fit that, you know, that sort of culture that you're looking to really share. So that's super interesting. And I think, like you said, right, probably a lot of the folks here, right, from the hospitality side of things, right, can definitely relate to. So great insight.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, you mentioned some challenges, right, that that come along, right, with the job, and sort of that decentralized approach. So what kind of did your day-to-day recruiting reality look like in the past, that kind of I guess made you say, hey, right, we need to make some changes, and kind of led to the Phenom.
Yeah, definitely. I think for anyone in the hiring field, our challenges have always been there in terms of the manual nature of the work. And I think it depends organization to organization what the infrastructure looks like. But, for us, it was very, I don't want to say scrappy in a bad way, scrappy in a good way. Lots of manual candidate trackers, lots of variations of job boards and managing application flows that weren't necessarily all coming into the same place. We didn't really have much of a centralized view on, the interview process and some of the guidance around that. So we just have usual challenges for anyone kind of coming together as an organization and thinking more centrally about it to pull together what that infrastructure might look like and scaffolding to really set us up for success in this space. But the usual stuff, I think hiring still can be pretty manual unless you have the luxury of, using an awesome tool like Phenom to help us set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for obviously everybody listening, she did say an awesome tool like Phenom, but I've been working, right, like I said, very closely with Rachel for the last couple months here, and I think just having the effort that you've been putting into, right, with the team to really show them the benefits of some of the automation tools and stuff like that in Phenom has been great, and seems like we're going in the right direction, which is awesome. So I did want to give you a shout out on this as well for everything that you've been doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. And I think with any implementation of any technology, it's only as good as the amount of effort that you put into it. And I think we've been really lucky to have that understanding, and particularly the partnership with yourself to really drive and hone in on some of those fantastic things that really don't require a lot of effort on our recruiter side of things. So yeah, I'm excited to share more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I would ask, right, like kind of, right, you said what were some of those struggles in the past, right? Like, what did that reality look like? What was the pivotal moment, right, when you realized that the traditional hiring processes that you were using just weren't working at the scale you needed them to?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. And I think we're pretty unique in our journey in that I think 2020, mid and late 2020, we acquired a bunch of hotels, which was fantastic for the growth of our organization. But it also happened pretty rapidly and not unexpected, but very quickly, overnight kind of notions where we had to really think, wow, okay, we're a lot bigger than we used to be here. Let's figure out what our infrastructure looks like. Let's build the plane while we're flying it. And, we still had to keep the lights on, drive revenue, and all of that good stuff. So I think a real company effort to really look at what our operational infrastructure looked like and just starting to put those pieces into place to really set us up for success. And, not just across HR, other departments too, but for us, that was probably a turning point where we thought, right, we mean business now with hiring. We're going to be hiring a lot more people. Our brand is elevated. It's a real opportunity for us to, have stake in the game and, put our mark out there in the industry from a employer value proposition kind of front, as well as a consumer brand. So really, that was the turning point for us. Lots of scrambling, but it was juggling but struggling, and now I think we're just juggling, which is nice.
Gotcha. No, and I love the term of, building the plane while you're flying it. I think that, we get that with a lot of organizations, right? They're looking at, these growths and everything, and they realize early on that, hey, right, the business has this sort of in mind. We want to get there. We know that the tools we have now aren't, maybe quite cutting it. So it is, right, truly building the plane while flying it to make sure everything's kind of, working in sync and hitting those overall, organizational goals. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So, obviously, right, we heard about the challenge, right? What was the solution now, right? So when you were exploring your HR technology and Phenom, can you share kind of like what those key outcomes and features you were looking for,
Yeah.
and why you ultimately decided to go with Phenom?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with any kind of TA transformation journey, we have to look at the entire journey, right? I think the user experience, the candidate experience is pivotal for any kind of TA strategy. So really for us, we were looking for that really great combination of, the hosted career site element, then with the CRM. And I think, for us, Phenom was a no-brainer in that sense. I think the technology was head and shoulders above a lot of the other ones that we looked at. I think the automations really spoke to us, the AI capabilities, but also things like the interview scheduling features, all of the bells and whistles that we could potentially turn on further down the line as well. So for us, it really was that it wasn't a today solution, it was a future solution where we could turn on different features further down the line. And it's a journey, and us better than anyone. I think we're still working through a lot of the functionalities and trying to leverage them as best we can. And I think we're doing a really great job. But what really excites me is everything else that Phenom has the power to do in our world, and it will make life easy for us eventually. So yeah, super excited to go down that road. That's why you guys stood out.
Well, listen, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I definitely think that, right, there is so much that Phenom offers, and it really is looking at it from that approach of, this isn't just a solution for right now, right? This is a solution for the future that we can kind of continue to grow with. And again, I think that, Sonesta's approach with it has been very good. Of, hey, let's continue to work on what we have and, really master that, because we know that there's other stuff that we can utilize here down the road. So um, you guys have been doing a great job of sort of getting that process rolling. Um, how was your implementation approach, right? How did the end user experience shape the approach to deploying Phenom? We did just kind of touch on it, right, a little bit. But anything else, maybe you wanted to sort of add there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have, you know, quite a different model to some other organizations, probably in our field as well. We have a very decentralized model. We don't have a centralized recruitment team. We don't have a shared service center that handles a lot of the hiring tasks. So for us, it really is our property HR directors and general managers that are leading the recruitment process soup to nuts. So, for us, anything that we did in this space had to make it easy for them, given that they're juggling 1,000 different priorities. And, especially for those HRDs doing a generalist role, they're looking after everything from employee relations to learning to diversity to hiring to compliance. They're doing it all. So, really thinking about what we could do when we're implementing a tool like this to make it easy. And so for us, really, it was just simplicity. I think if you're not a recruiter 100% of the time, naturally you're going to lean into different parts of a hiring tool than what a recruiter would. So I think for us, really just keeping it simple with here are the things that you'll probably get the most benefit from to start with, and then we'll kind of lean more into the bells and whistles as we move along. So for us, really just focusing on the simple but awesome stuff. So list creation, the AI, lead generation, the campaigning, the automation side of things, and the hiring events and automation of those types of things, and candidate communication. Similarly as well, I think, the integrations with huge job boards have really helped us keep candidates in one place and really have everything become a lot more manageable for them. So although they might not be going out there and truly, sourcing like you might see a recruiter do on the day to day, for our HRDs, it was really just about teaching them the basics to get the most out of the tool, and ultimately, elevating our talent pools and application flow. So that was really the focus for us. And I think the second part of that as well is what could we do from a centralized standpoint. So for us, we decided to take on national campaigns. So we would do national stuff more centrally to help that message get out there and help our hotels with the application flow and the lead generation and that type of thing. So really just teetering between what makes sense for a local HRD to really do and get their arms around, and what makes sense for us to do at the corporate level to really help generate that flow and help for the rest of the properties.
Yeah, and I think, right, a couple of things you said there kind of triggered in my head, right? It's kind of some of those bite-sized pieces, right, for the team when just getting started, right? Making sure that we understand and master the basics before we really dive into some of those bells and whistles, because obviously, right, it looks really pretty. You want to dive in, you want to use all of it, but making sure that we, hone in on the basics first. But, one of the things that you did mention as well, right, you called out some of the engagement, the AI features, right? So specifically with the AI in your hiring process at Sonesta, right, like how did you incorporate that?
Yeah, many different ways. I think it's such a contentious topic, but if it's used properly and in the right way, it can really just work wonders for so many different things. So for us, the AI functionality really is around the fit scoring. I think the lead generation piece. So what was interesting for us, we had, I think, 85,000 unique leads generated. So the Phenom AI went to work and matched 85,000 prospective candidates, talent to our roles. And I think you wouldn't have that without AI functionality. So that was a big deal for us. And I think fit scoring, the discovery side of things, and just really using it as well to simplify our role advertisements. So I think sometimes really looking at what you're putting out there in terms of advertising a role, are we maximizing the best use of keywords to match and generate leads? And I think AI has been really useful in all those respects. And then the chatbot has just been a different world altogether for us. And I think, I'd love to share more about the chatbot. I think that for us has been huge. I think we pre-programmed about 750 answers to questions, but where it's a continual work in progress. But I think our chatbot, we called them Tony, but they engaged with, I think, 145-ish thousand prospective applicants last year. So for us, that took time away from our recruiters, or, where would those questions ordinarily go? Perhaps to a centralized inbox, and who's managing that? So I think there are so many different ways that it's really helped us be more efficient.
Yeah, and I think that's a great call out, right? I mean, you've been preaching, right, that it's a decentralized, team, right, and an approach, and when you're getting all of these questions kind of flooding in, how do you turn that into something centralized? So
Right.
no, that's awesome. I'm obviously happy to hear, right, some of the successes you found with the AI features in the tool, because they can be extremely valuable if you use them. And then we talked about some automation stuff a little earlier too, right? So tell me, what is the team's automation strategy right now, and what's working best for you all, especially in kind of helping save some of the team time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we built over 500 automations in some way, shape, or form in the last year. And I think they're so simple to do, and they're sometimes pretty much a one and done thing. So, you can build the automation, and although it's a little bit of a lift to start with, then you're rolling, you're off to the races, and things happen in the background. But for us, with the automations, I would say, particularly for us, and it seems really simple, but I liken it to, the distracted reality that we're living in. I think for us, really honing in on candidates that have started to apply for a role, then forgot about it, or it's dropped off for whatever reason, just a simple automation to say, hey, don't forget, you kind of left this job in your basket there, similar to how retailers do with, you left a pair of jeans in your cart, please check out, don't forget. Just something as simple as that really helped us drive applications through to completion. So I think that was one great thing. And then I think the other side of things, although where I would say the maturity level, we're pretty much in our infancy with really getting to grips with the interview scheduling tool. But we scheduled, I think, 4,000 interviews via the tool last year. So that really helped us save, I think, about 1,000 hours in manpower, just trying to juggle calendars and people. So I think for us, those two things alone, many more, but for the purposes of the time that we have, I'll keep it brief. But yeah, those were really, really great for us.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of everybody's sort of favorite things, right? Just kind of touching on that interview scheduling is the having to manually go back and forth between the interviewer and the interviewee. So
Exactly.
hearing that you guys have seen success, and it's been a super big benefit to the team is always good to hear. And I think another thing I wanted to kind of touch on, right? You did kind of talk about some of the campaigning, right? So how do you keep those candidates engaged and your talent pipeline stocked, especially for maybe those challenging, always on sort of roles?
Yeah, it's. I'm really glad you brought that up. So we decided to really do a lot of analysis around where our pain points were. So I think, in hospitality, I mentioned before, it's high volume, high turnover. So we really just wanted to look at, where are the different pockets that we could impact from a national on a national level, and how can we drive more traffic and visibility and really fill those talent pools. So I think we selected 5 key areas to really focus on and generate national campaigns for. So those were, and I think again, anyone in hospitality, people will be going, yep. For us, it was housekeeping, front of house, sales, hotel management, and then maintenance and engineering. So we built national campaigns for all of those role types across all different geographies, and we've really elevated our talent pool. We've nearly doubled the amount of people in the talent pool just in 6 months of them being live. And I think the traffic that those generate, the click-throughs and the interest in opening, I think sometimes there's always a risk of spam, right? I think people see stuff in their inbox, but we were really able to engage. And I think for us, it was really just keeping it authentic, real. We engaged the talent pools with quarterly newsletters, what's going on at Sonesta, not necessarily here, apply for this job, but just engaging with our brand and getting the awareness out there really. And then really it is a case of, hey, if you're interested or you know anyone, please, give us a shout and see what we're all about. So for us, those 5 areas and the national campaigns, they do their own work. And I think, again, one of those super easy lifts. And, you just continue to engage and tell our story. And it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, right? Is just engage with the folks that have given you some sort of information, right? They're living in your CRM, so let's continue to stay in front of them and let them know of the great opportunities that they have at Sonesta or wherever the organization may be. So
exactly,
awesome. So we talked about the challenges, the solutions. Doesn't always really mean much though without what were the results. So do you mind sharing some of the specific impacts you saw from using AI and automation and the tool?
Yeah, definitely. I think starting with the career site, we elevated the traffic quite significantly, and I think even when we were looking at the results from the past year, we increased our traffic by 160%. Which was huge. And I still kind of balk at that result. But I think just having a better user experience, I think the chatbot had a lot to do with that. I think, the average time that people spend on our site now is over 3 minutes, which I think is 52% higher than the industry average right now. So lots of great results. And, people are clicking through 3 or 4 different pages, which again is unheard of. And I think when you're tapping into distracted people, that's the reality we live in. People are distracted by all different things. And so to have that engagement has been really, really great to see. Again, our chatbot engaged with 145,000 prospective candidates. I think that speaks for itself, and I think that will continue to grow, honestly, as we continue on this journey. So that was pretty staggering. And, I think the other stat for us really was the unique leads that AI generated for us. These are people, these are talent that we haven't tapped into. We didn't have an avenue to tap into. So just to have, 80,000+ new folks in there to explore that matches up with our roles has been pretty staggering. I think the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those numbers are incredible, right? We're happy for the successes, right, that you all have seen as a result of it. And it's just, great to hear, right? And, we touched a lot on the conversion from the career site, right? Getting them into the CRM. But now they're sitting in your CRM, right? So how has kind of having this influx, we could say, right, but bringing in Phenom, how has that sort of simplified some of that day-to-day reality for your recruiters?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We have more people. We have more people to look at. I think one of the critical things to mention is the fact that our conversion rates are much higher. So I think there's a 27% increase on candidates that apply and we interview. So I think that increase was phenomenal for us. So our conversion rates are much better. You know, a better match for us of candidate are applying to the roles that we have out there. And I think for us, it saves time. You know, the right people are in the right roles versus, you know, hundreds of applicants that a recruiter would ordinarily have to go through. So I think for us, yes, application volumes have increased, but for us, with the functionality and the fit scoring and the caliber of talent that's matched to our roles now, just gives our hiring population an easier job. You know, we're actually seeing great candidates, more are converting through to the interview stage and ultimately being hired.
Awesome. Um, so right now, to wrap us up here, future vision, right, and advice you have for anybody else on the call, right, given sort of the successes you've seen. Can you give us kind of a preview of where Sonesta is going with, the AI and the automation inside the systems?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for us, you know, where we have just created an AI kind of focus group in a way, which kind of looks at AI across the organization and how we're using it to make sure that we're using it properly and efficiently, and it's fit for purpose. So I think for us, we have a really, really awesome view on using it properly and using it for the right reasons. So for us, we're focused on that as a company, which is great. And I think any organization would be silly not to embrace it. I think there's lots of really great tools out there, and you know, particular for us in the hiring space or talent management space, you know, we can really leverage the power of AI if used in the right way. And I think for us, it's all about using it properly, being compliant, having a great candidate and user experience, using the tools as well. So, you know, as an organization, we're pretty focused on how we might, you know, maximize the use of AI in the future. You know, expanding beyond HR to other departments, I'm sure. So yeah, I guess watch this space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think, even that last call out, right, of expanding, AI, right, sort of beyond the HR to other departments, I think is something, right, that we'll probably be seeing a lot of moving forward. So good call out. If you were to recommend, right, one automation to a hospitality friend just getting started, what would that be, right? I know you said at the beginning it might be tough for you to pick one. I think you said you guys created about 500. So if you could find one, which one would that be?
Probably the application drop off. It's so simple but very effective. And also, any more tips and tricks, please feel free to call me or give me a shout. I'm not a gatekeeper over here, but for us, that's a simple one. And I think you know, having that digitally friendly approach to hiring, people pick up their phone, they start to do something, and they put it back down to do something else. And I think it's just that little nudge and reminder via an automation to say, hey, remember you were really interested in working at Sonesta. Like, come on, let's finish our application. I think that is easy, simple, but very impactful. So I would implore anybody to do that.
Absolutely. And then, just to kind of wrap us up here, again, right, given Sonesta's shift from the manual processes to, the simplified AI powered approach, again, right, what advice would you give to other hospitality leaders who want to kind of make hiring easier for their teams?
Digital first and simplicity. I think sometimes when people are looking at technologies or transformations and processes, sometimes it's overthought about. And I think keeping things or going back to basics and just keeping it efficient, quick, easy, digital first, really makes more difference than sometimes the bells and whistles might do. So I think keep it simple, keep it short, keep it easy, keep it digital.
Awesome. Well, listen, Rachel, we really appreciate you taking the time, sharing your insights and your experience with Phenom and all of the advice, right, you gave today. We really appreciate it. I think one of the big things, right, if we're going to take anything from this, is bite-sized pieces, right, with Phenom, but in general, right, making sure that we can master the basics before we, really sort of spread our wings and start trying to use all the bells and whistles. But again, really appreciate you hopping on and joining us today and all of the insight you provided.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Here at Phenom, we're passionate about helping recruiters streamline their processes while still delivering a great experience for both the hiring teams and candidates. In hospitality and travel, the pace is relentless, and so is the need for talent. Teams are constantly on the move, balancing high guest volumes, shifting schedules, and seasonal swings. That's why your hiring flow can't afford to slow down. You need a process that's always working, even when you are not. If you're hiring in hospitality or travel, whether they're servers, housekeepers, or front desk staff, they typically aren't sitting behind desks all day. They're constantly moving, often between shifts, gigs, or even jobs. Mobile isn't just a nice to have, it's mission critical. It's how you compete for talent, reduce time to hire, and create an exceptional experience that matches the fast-moving nature of the industry. A mobile-friendly process meets them where they are, on their phone, in the moment, so they can apply when it's convenient. With intelligent automations, candidates can be guided through the experience in real time. From application to assessment through interview without bottlenecks. You're not just speeding things up, you're also verifying key credentials and skills along the way, ensuring that quality isn't sacrificed for speed. A big part of this is making assessments work for you, helping you go beyond the resume to really understand candidates and make confident, data-driven decisions. As you know, staffing remains one of the biggest challenges for HR leaders in the hospitality and travel industry. High turnover, especially in frontline and seasonal roles, make it difficult to maintain consistent service quality. Finding skilled talent is another persistent issue. Whether it's experienced chefs, multilingual front desk staff, or managers with hospitality experience, the available talent pool is often limited. For HR leaders, using assessments has become a key strategy for solving persistent staffing challenges and reducing overall hiring costs and churn. These tools provide a faster, more accurate way to identify candidates who are not only qualified, but are also well suited to the unique demands of these roles. As a candidate, it's a great chance for them to show more than what's just on their resume. Maybe they don't have the years of experience, but they do know how to stay calm under pressure, and they work well with people. An assessment lets them showcase these skills. It also helps the candidate figure out if the role is a good fit for them. Assessments can give a taste of what the job is like, which is really helpful for the candidate. If the work feels natural during the assessment, that's a good sign they'll enjoy it and that they'll do it well. Taking the assessment also shows their seriousness and helps them make a first great impression. More than anything, completing the assessment shows they're committed and ready to take the next step. With Phenom, candidates who hit the benchmark can be instantly advanced to the next step, like a virtual or live interview, no manual or additional review required. This automation can reduce time to hire by up to 40% and free up hours of recruiter and manager capacity each and every week, delivering faster fills and measurable return on investment. As you know, every hour counts when competing for skilled talent. Self-scheduling right from their phone as they complete the assessment removes the biggest delays, the manual coordination, and it gets interviews on the calendar instantly. There's no back and forth between emails, text messages, and missed calls. It's just quick, seamless progress to the next step. Ultimately, assessments streamline the hiring process by quickly narrowing down large applicant pools. This efficiency saves time, it improves the quality of hire, and it reduces your overall cost per hire, especially during peak periods when speed and accuracy are critical. Assessments also help pinpoint individuals with the right mix of skills, personality traits, and service-oriented mindsets, qualities that are critical in customer-facing roles. By focusing on fit and potential rather than just experience, HR teams have also seen a reduction in early turnover and improvements in employee performance. Thank you for your time learning more about intelligent automations and assessments to create a phenomenal hiring experience.
Thanks, Steve. So far today, you've seen the power of utilizing both automation and intelligence to create amazing recruiter and candidate experiences for your organization. Now, we're going to move into the future and start utilizing agentic AI. This moves past rules-based automation and towards artificial intelligence that can utilize your data and create reason-based decision-making. What does that mean, though? Kind of seemed like the way a sci-fi professor in a movie explains how the universe worked, and it's just kind of over all of our heads, right? So let's break it down. First of all, there's the reality that candidates engage in different ways. This isn't going to be a surprise to any of you who have implemented those online check-in or like self-service kiosk in your businesses. Some folks, they want their hand held throughout the entirety of the process, and other folks just want to check in or out as quickly as possible, right? This is the crux of defining how to apply artificial intelligence and automation into your talent processes. For the purposes of this demo, let's talk about how that applies to screening specifically. It means understanding that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So you, as an agile business, need to start to think about different channels and different ways that you can utilize this experience. Agentic AI in talent acquisition can be used to introduce agent-led interactions across your hiring processes. This is going to mean less manual work, less of that administrative work for your recruiters, and faster, better results for candidates. One way that agentic AI is particularly useful is for those high-value roles, screening and scheduling those positions for roles like the valet roles that exist at your organization, things that are critical to the business, but often require some type of screening or pre-qualification as candidates move through that process. We also know that for a lot of these positions, those questions are the same day in and day out. One way that agentic AI is particularly useful for high value roles is for screening and scheduling. So in the past, hiring someone like a valet or a housekeeper or someone for your front desk staff is cumbersome. A recruiter or a GM has to call each and every candidate and ask them to validate their basic skills. Things like, for a valet, do you have a valid driver's license? Do you have the ability to drive stick shift? What shift availability do you have? All of these pieces have to be asked and answered in order to qualify that person to move them forward. Even today, when you're introducing one-way interviewing, allowing the candidate to film themselves answering questions, studies are showing that candidates are still slipping through the cracks. In the future of utilizing agentic AI, when a new valet position opens up, the platform automatically suggests utilizing an agent to complete not only the screening of candidates, but the scheduling of an interview with that hiring manager. Because the voice agent is embedded directly into your platform, it already knows the questions that you typically ask during the screening conversation and can quickly and easily ask for confirmation from you and then take over the entirety of this process. This means that after a candidate has submitted their application, instead of your recruiters having to play phone tag back and forth to confirm that basic information and then passing them on to the hiring manager, which sometimes can take days or even weeks, candidates can now request a call from the voice agent, giving them the flexibility of chatting with someone when they have the time. Let's take a look at how that voice agent works. Let's see it in real time here.
Hi, this is Summer, a virtual agent calling on behalf of Summit Stay Hospitality. May I know who am I talking?
Hi, this is Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your interest in the valet attendant position. I'd love to ask you some quick questions to see if this opportunity aligns with your career goals. Do you have a couple of minutes to chat?
I do.
Great. Let's start with a couple of important questions. Are you at least 18 years old, and do you possess a valid driver's license that is not currently suspended or restricted?
I am over 18 years old and I do have a valid driver's license.
Thank you for that information. Do you have experience driving vehicles with manual transmissions, stick shift?
Oh yeah, my dad taught me how to drive stick when I was 16, so I am good on that.
That's good to hear. Now, let's dive into a real-world scenario. You're retrieving a guest's vehicle during a busy evening when you notice a small scratch that wasn't documented when the car was parked. The guest is waiting at the entrance. Walk me through exactly what you would do.
So I typically go through the process of contacting my manager, letting them know that there was a scratch, asking them what to do, following the chain of command, and then ensuring that the customer is still happy, likely pointing it out to them, making sure that they've seen it, but also documenting it that that had nothing to do with us at the organization.
That's a great approach. Have you ever faced a situation like this in real life? If so, how did you handle it?
Yeah, I've definitely had some mishaps happen at my job previously. I have worked in hotel hospitality for a long time, so I've had a lot of people that wind up a little bit angry with some of the things or some of the policies that we have. Normally, just remaining cool, calm, having a nice demeanor and a smile will get you a long way. And then always informing management to ensure that everyone involved in the process knows what's going on.
It sounds like you have a solid approach to handling such situations. This position requires maintaining a professional appearance with press uniforms, working in various weather conditions, and being available for flexible scheduling, including holidays. Describe your experience maintaining professional standards in demanding environments and how you ensure reliable attendance.
Throughout my experience and the work that I've done in hotels over the years, I've always had that expectation of remaining a sense of professionalism throughout the entirety of my shift, as well as being well dressed, having the proper shoe attire, and everything along those lines. So I don't foresee any issues in those areas. As I mentioned before, I have a lot of customer service experience. So Thank you.
That's all for the questions. Based on your responses, we'd love to move forward to the next step. When would be a good time for you to schedule an interview with one of our hiring managers? We have availability on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Please pick a time that works for you.
I would love to do Friday at 10:30.
Great. You're all set for your interview on Friday at 10:30 a.m. I'll make a note of that. Before we say goodbye, is there anything else on your mind?
I don't think so. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. That's all for now. We appreciate your time today and we'll be in touch soon. Have an amazing day.
It's as simple as that. Candidates are screened and then automatically scheduled for an interview the moment they finish their screening, all without recruiters needing to pick up the phone. Recruiters, though, of course, have access to all of the information, all of the answers that were given during that process collected by the agent, and can check in on progress to ensure that these sought-after candidates are moving through the process as easily as possible. Let's pause for a moment and think about the impact that this can have on your time to hire. For these critical roles like valet, housekeeper, front desk staff, the candidates that you're working with are typically working during the hours that your team would call them. By introducing agentic AI into your talent acquisition process, you can require less manual administrative work for recruiters and faster, better results for candidates.
Thanks, Jackie. You have just seen how we streamline the candidate flow once they apply and how the voice screening makes it easy for busy hospitality workers to engage with the opportunities. But sometimes you can't wait for the right candidates to come to you, especially for specialized roles with tight timelines. Now, let me paint a picture that I know will resonate with many of you. It's mid-season, your ships are departing weekly from Miami, and you just got the call no cruise director wants to hear. Your chief steward on the Caribbean route is giving their notice. Your ship sails in exactly 7 days. Now, this isn't just any role to fill. You need someone who can manage the team of 8 to 12 stewards, maintain premium service standards, and here's the kicker, right? They need a valid certification. And if you have been in the business long enough, you know about 30% of candidates have expired certifications. So, what are you facing right now? You need maybe one of the 500 people globally with the right experience on 100+ meter vessels. They need to be available and willing to fly to Miami within next 5 days. And since it's on the Caribbean route, Spanish fluency would be huge. In the traditional world, you are now in the scramble mode, writing complex Boolean searches, calling out agencies who takes up to 48 hours to respond, manually checking certification dates, and hoping someone qualified is actually free. You are looking at a massive 20 to 30 hours minimum, and every hour counts because other cruise lines are hunting the same talent. But now, what if you could have qualified candidates in front of you in the next 5 minutes? Let me show you how Phenom's X Plus completely changes this process. Instead of complex Boolean searches, I can search exactly like I would describe this role to a friend of mine. You can notice I'm just typing it in the natural language where I just said I need chief stewardess who is available to join in next 7 days on Miami. Notice again, I'm not using any complicated search syntax, just natural language describing what I need. I have searched for chief stewardess. The candidate should be in Miami. And look at the magic that X Plus Source has brought in. It is showing me the key criteria that the job title contains the word chief stewardess and the location is rightly in Miami, Florida. X Plus is intelligently understanding my natural language and automatically filtering for the key criteria that I asked for. Now I can see there are no matching CRM leads found. Again, In the normal traditional world, this is where the panic kicks in and we would start reaching out to recruiters of the world. But again, we have Phenom Express for the rescue. Now let me click on the cloud leads to understand how Express Source shines through. Now this is where Phenom's X Plus searches across talent pools abroad different portals to find the candidates who match with our exact search criteria. Like you can notice that we have about 13 matching leads that we just found with the cloud leads. Look at this. Here's Breonna McCarty, currently Chief Stewardess on MY Dorothea and has about 12 years of experience in hospitality and yachting industry. X Plus is telling me she is likely available for immediate joining and she's based in Miami. Now, this is the power of X Plus. When your internal talent pool doesn't have what you need, it instantly expands to find qualified candidates from broader market who can rightly fit your requirements. Now, here's where it gets really powerful. I can click directly into Breonna's LinkedIn profile to get more context about her background and current situation. Look at this. She is currently the Chief Stewardess at MY Dorothea and based out of Miami. Perfect location match. I can see her experience level and get a sense of if she is open to new opportunities or not. Now, instead of manually copying her data and losing the track of the promising candidates, X Plus lets me take immediate actions. So what I'm currently doing is I'm adding the candidates into my shortlist who are being suggested by X Plus to me. As you can see, I can shortlist the candidates right from here. I can see I have got the strong candidates shortlisted. I want to move them to your active hiring process. All I have to do is just click on Add to. Now look at these options. I can add them to a list, a job, a project, or an event. This flexibility is key for hospitality hiring because you are often managing multiple scenarios at once. Now, lists are perfect for talent pools. Maybe I want to create a Chief Stew Candidates Miami list. On one click, I have got curated pool ready for my next urgent hiring. Or I might want to add them to my current opening job requisition. No more emailing, spreadsheets, or losing track of who is applying where. For that matter, projects are brilliant for bigger initiatives. Maybe we are opening a new Miami route next quarter, and we need to hire 5 chief stews. I can create a Miami route expansion project and add these candidates right there. But here's where it gets really interesting for hospitality. Events. X Plus understands that hospitality hiring often happens through events, job fairs at ports, hotel career days, or cruise line open houses. Now, for this urgent chief steward job position, let me add them directly to our job. As you can see, here's our chief stewardess position, and just with an update, the process has been initiated to add the candidates to the job. Now, instead of traditional hiring process of posting and waiting, I have proactively identified and funneled the qualified candidates into our hiring pipeline in under 5 minutes. This means our hiring manager can start scheduling interviews today instead of waiting weeks for applications to come in. Now, here's where X Plus really shows its power. I can directly invite the candidates to apply right with one click. Watch how X Plus is walking me through the process of it. It is prompting me in the simple, normal conversational language that we use. This is just brilliant. X Plus is not just finding candidates, it's also helping me communicate with them professionally. Look, It just created a personalized email template for me to send to the shortlisted candidates with just one click. Think about what just happened here. In under 10 minutes, I went from an urgent hiring need to having 4 qualified candidates ready to receive personalized invitations to apply. No job posting, no waiting, no manual email drafting, just intelligent sourcing and automated outreach. That is the difference between traditional reactive hiring and proactive talent intelligence. Instead of hoping the right candidates to find your job posting, you are directly reaching out to exactly the people you need exactly when you need them. Now, let me show you the other side of this equation. I have moved from sourcing candidates to our actual job dashboard. Here you can see our chief stewardess position in Miami. And look at this. We have the leads attached to this job. This is where we have got all the leads now flowing into this job, and X Plus has automatically generated something called fit scores. See these letter grades A, B, not fit. This is Phenom's AI powered fit score in action. It's analyzing each candidate profile against our job requirements and giving us an at a glance assessment of how well they match. Here's how this works. The AI is looking at the objective, job-related characteristics like career path, skills, experience levels, and qualifications. Now, look at the score here. The system is saying that Heather Jackson is a good fit. He perfectly matches the job title. His location is in Miami. The reason why he is scored B could be because there is some missing data in the experience match. Now, compare this with other grade, probably C, where you can see the title is right, but there is no other criteria that is matching our role here. The AI is essentially doing what a senior recruiter would do: pattern matching between successful hires and candidate profiles, but doing it instantly across all candidates. It's not making the final hiring decision, but it's giving me intelligent guidance on where to focus my time. Now, here's where it gets really exciting: AI discovery. This is Phenom's proactive intelligence at work. Look at what's happening here. X Plus is telling me import new candidates to CRM from our external profile suggestions found on web. This isn't me searching anymore. This is AI continuously scanning external profiles and suggesting candidates that might be perfect for our roles. Now, what's powerful here is that AI discovery found these candidates without me searching for them. The system understands our job requirements and is continuously monitoring the talent landscape and adding the new candidates as they become available or update their profiles. And just like that, with X Plus Source, I can immediately add these AI discovery candidates to our job with one click. Again, no manual research, no guessing about the fit. The AI has already done the analysis. This is especially valuable for specialized roles like cruise positions where the talent pool is limited. While I'm interviewing my first batch of candidates, AI discovery is continuously working in the background, finding additional options I might have missed. So now, let me bring this all together. What we have just witnessed is complete transformation of how urgent hiring works. Before X Plus Source, you would spend 20 to 30 hours writing Boolean searches, calling agencies who take 48 hours to respond, manually screening resumes, and hoping qualified candidates existed. Your ship sails in 7 days and you're still posting jobs in ads. But with X Plus Source, in under 10 minutes, I have identified qualified candidates, scored them for fit, and either invited them to apply or added them to our hiring event. Meanwhile, AI discovery is continuously finding additional candidates I would never have discovered. Most importantly, your recruiter just became a strategic partner instead of a keyword searcher. They are having conversations and not writing codes. The business impact is almost immediate. Your hiring managers interviewed qualified candidates today instead of posting and hoping. Your ships maintain critical staffing levels. Your guest satisfaction stays high because you're not operating on short-staffed anymore. And for urgent roles like this, you have transformed weeks of reactive scrambling into minutes of proactive intelligence. Now, this is the future of hospitality and travel hiring, where AI finds the needle in the haystack, scores candidates for fit, and lets you focus on what humans do the best: building relationships and making hiring decisions easy.
Hi, I'm Tara, a solution consultant at Phenom and a former recruiter. In hospitality, relationships are everything, and that includes the ones you've already built with your former employees. With the Phenom Alumni Portal, you can turn past team members into future assets. Whether it's bringing back seasonal staff, filling last-minute roles with experienced talent, or tapping into a trusted network for referrals, this portal helps you maintain a warm connection with people who already know your brand and your culture, as well as your guests. Let's take a look at how it works. One of the first things to call out is that everything you're about to see is fully optimized for mobile devices. That's incredibly important in hospitality, where former employees may be on their feet, working flexible jobs, or not sitting at a desk all day. Whether they're commuting, juggling gigs, or picking up shifts elsewhere, they can easily reconnect with your brand, browse jobs, get notifications, and apply all from their phone on their own time. No clunky logins and no hunting for a computer. Right away, the portal greets the returning employee by name, making the experience feel personal and welcoming. Here, Layla sees recommendations about communities to join and can begin reconnecting with familiar faces from her time at the company. There's also a Meet More alumni section that promotes networking across teams and locations. This creates an instant sense of belonging. Former employees feel recognized, not forgotten, and can start re-engaging at their own pace. For your teams, this means keeping your talent ecosystem warm. Whether you're rehiring, seeking referrals, or nurturing brand advocates, you're starting from a place of trust and belonging. Next is the Alumni Community page, a space built for connection, wellness, and professional development. There's clear messaging around the company's mission, plus access to inspiring stories from other alumni. They all have something in common, whether they worked at your organization for 5 months or 5 years. So for someone who left on good terms, this page reinforces that the door is always open. It creates a positive emotional connection with the brand and supports their career growth beyond their employment alone with you. You're reinforcing your employer brand long after that exit interview, and a strong alumni network means more potential boomerang hires, more referrals, and a reputation for caring beyond the last paycheck. Layla can now see timely, personalized notifications, including roles nearby and reminders about upcoming hiring needs. Below that, she can browse open roles and short-term gigs without having to search. For the candidate, there's no need to start from scratch. The portal already understands who they are and what they might be interested in. It's convenient, relevant, and respectful of their time. You're able to automatically re-engage with qualified talent, especially helpful in a high turnover or seasonal hiring environment. Notifications and job matchings help fill roles faster, especially those that require trusted experience. When Layla does click into a job, she doesn't just see a description. She sees why this role is a fit for her based on her past performance. It even highlights how many others have held the role, making it feel like part of a familiar journey. She isn't treated like a stranger. The portal has insight into her high customer satisfaction scores in the past, her reliability, and this confidence encourages her to reapply. So you're showcasing data-driven recommendations as well as speeding time to hire. Instead of cold leads, you're inviting back people with proven track records. Now for hospitality especially, this is where the portal really shines. Layla can see short-term, event-based opportunities that fit her skills and her schedule and add more experience to her resume. She can view a clear job summary, the required skills for it, and even the hiring manager who she'd be working with. Maybe she's in school, working part-time elsewhere, or only available during busy seasons. This gives her flexible ways to stay involved. Seasonal surges are much easier to manage when you've got a bench of pre-vetted talent ready to jump in, so you can fill high urgency roles without sacrificing quality or ramp-up time. Now let's shift from the candidate persona to the recruiter experience. In hospitality, we know turnover is high, seasonal staffing needs are constant, and finding great people fast is critical. But what if you didn't have to start from scratch with every requisition? With the Phenom CRM, campaigns, and automation, the behind the scenes of the alumni portal experience, you're not just reconnecting with past talent, you're proactively nurturing them, personalizing outreach, and filling roles faster with people who already know your brand. Phenom CRM creates rich talent profiles for every former employee. Alumni in good standing can be automatically tagged when they leave, allowing recruiters to instantly segment those alumni into relevant dynamic lists. Dynamic listing meaning that it's going to continue to add candidates who match this selected criteria. It can then enroll them in automated branded and personalized campaigns, all without lifting a finger. With automation rules, alumni can be added to campaigns automatically based on triggers like time since last employment, new roles opening at their previous location, seasonal hiring workflows, or just based on their profile updating or having some new information that might match this criteria that you're looking for. You can also prep seasonal employees for departure by introducing them to this alumni portal as part of their offboarding process, ensuring that they stay engaged even after that last shift. So you're not starting from scratch when the next season or hiring surge hits. You've already built a curated talent network of pre-qualified, culture fit individuals ready to return, refer, or recommend a friend. Recruiters can always find and re-engage alumni based on specific roles, location, or seasonal hiring needs in seconds. This means that personalized engagement is scalable, so there's no more manual list pulling. You're running always-on campaigns that automatically adjust as alumni come in and out of the pipeline. This is perfect for a high-volume, high-turnover environment like a hotel, restaurant, or resort. Alumni will also get timely nudges, like a quick "we'd love to see you back for summer" message via email or text message at just the right moment, increasing that likelihood of re-engagement without over-communication or any manual work. So with the alumni portal, you're turning the end of employment into the beginning of a lifelong relationship. Whether someone is looking to return full-time, pick up seasonal work, or just stay connected, you're giving them a seamless way to do it. And for your hiring team, it's a faster, smarter way to bring back the best talent.